Hello everyone, I'm Bark Agarwal and I'm your UGC NET Paper 1 educator, and I'll be taking teaching aptitude and communication, business communication unit that belongs to general paper 1 in UGC NET category. So, also before proceeding ahead, I would like to mention that I have also qualified GRF exam in the year 2022 with All India rank 18, that is 99.98 percentile. In paper 1, I had 100% percentile. I have secured 100% percentile. So, before proceeding ahead, I would like to mention that today we are going to learn what is communication, and I'll be giving you a brief introduction of all the important topics that are majorly coming in exams. So, some of the important topics that we will be covering in these 5 sessions are: number one, communication meaning and features; number two will be the noise in the communication; number third will be the barriers to the communication and how to overcome those barriers; then the most important one, the classroom communication, mass communication and their theories. It is very important from a UGC NET perspective. The different types of communication model, and the short topics, that is communication models and the important terminologies. So without any further delay, let's start the class. So before starting, I would like to ask you all, can someone explain me what is communication? Anyone? It's very easy. Okay, let me start. See, communication is very simple. It means to communicate or to share idea or thoughts that we have in our mind. Like, suppose here only. Let us assume the example, the current scenario only. What we are doing, we are communicating. What I'm teaching, I'm sharing my knowledge to you guys, right? So this is also a form of communication. So the term communication is derived from the Latin word communis or communicare, which means to make common. Okay, thus communication means to. I'm sorry for that noise. Just a minute. Just give me a minute. Yeah. Thus, communication means to make common facts, information, thoughts, and requirements. Communication is therefore the exchange of message, information by way of speech, signal, or in writing. So, what is communication? Communication is a way wherein we share our knowledge with everyone, with the person we are talking to. It can be single, it can be a one-way communication, it can be a two-way communication, or it can be all-way, right? So communication is the exchange of thoughts, message, information by way of speech, signal, or in writing, which means it can be oral, it can be written, or it can be non-verbal. Okay. Communication is two-way process and works well with feedback. This helps to confirm the intended message has been successful. So suppose there is a sender sending a message and there is a receiver receiving the message. Now the sender is sending the message, he is encoding the message and sending it to the receiver, and receiver is decoding the message. Now the communication should always be followed by a feedback. Why? Because if there is a feedback, then the sender can also understand that the receiver has received the message, and also he has received the message in a correct form. That is, he has received the message that was intended to. Suppose sender was saying hi, and the receiver has also decoded the message in the way that it signified hi. So through feedback, the sender can confirm that the receiver has received the message the way it was intended. It emphasizes on sharing common information and ideas and messages. It is merely issuing orders and instruction. Communication can, now this is the major definition, can be defined as the exchange of ideas. It is the share of ideas, message, and information between two or more person through a medium. Like if we are transferring the message through mass media, suppose through WhatsApp, right? So what is WhatsApp? It is a medium in a manner that the sender and the receiver understand the message in common sense, that is to develop common understanding of the message. Am I clear? Communication is defined as the process of passing the information and understanding from one person to another and bridging the gap between the two people. All communication is essentially sharing of information or some message. Communication is the most important for our social activities. So this bit is generally defining what is communication. So if I have to explain you briefly, I can explain you that communication is nothing but it is the share of ideas, thoughts, or information that someone has in his mind and he wants to share it with someone. And in a way that it is there is a mutual understanding between the two people, and the message is understood in the common sense or the way it is intended to be understood. Okay, coming to the next page, communication. Here it is the model wherein we are giving some inputs in the information where the message is being transferred and the output is received, right? Suppose I'm saying hi, it is encoded, the message is being transferred and the output is received, that is hi. What I mean, the messenger coding of the message, suppose it is coded as asterisk dollar hashtag, right? Through a channel. It can be through speaking, it can be through writing or video. Then the receiver is decoding the message as hi, and the receiver as understand. Understood? I've explained this thing in the previous slide also. That sender is encoding the message through star, hashtag, something, and then it is passing through a medium. It can be anything. It can be through mass media, or it can be face-to-face communication. It can be oral. It can be written. It can be non-verbal. And the receiver receives the message and he decodes the message and he provides the feedback. Am I clear? Now, coming to the next slide, communication plays a very vital role from a childhood. It is not only a specific tool which is essential for a survival, but also a basic right. This modern age of communication is categorized by speed, efficiency, and ability to surpass physical or geographical limitations. We will learn about this limitation later in this unit. The dictionary meaning of communication is to exchange. It is to exchange of what? Thoughts, ideas, information, feelings. It can be through oral, it can be through written or other means of disseminate data. Communication is more than just messaging or swapping information, where words are not the only tool to be prioritized but also our senses. In order to convey or communicate some information in our day to day interaction, the parameters such as our facial expression, oral tone, body language, ability to listen with patience are the contributing factors in delivering a message. Now, these things are very important. Suppose now I'm teaching you my facial expression. With every sentence, it is changing. It is very important. My oral tone is changing. Where I have to use a high pitch, I'm using a high pitch. Where I have to use a low pitch, I'm using a low pitch. My body language. Suppose I'm explaining you and I'm moving my hands or I'm folding my hands. That is my body language. Ability to listen. You guys are listening and I'm also listening if you have any doubts. So these are also a form of communication. These are non-verbal communication. Communication is sharing of information, receiving of messages, transferring of information from one person to another. In communication, the sender, he encodes the message, and using a medium, he sends the message to the receiver, and the receiver decodes the message and he understands the message and provides a feedback. Am I clear? These are some of the definitions that has been provided by some of the author. You don't have to something memorize this. You just have to give a reading the different definition. I hope you can do. Should I read it for you? So maybe I will read it for you. Communication is the art of developing and attaining understanding between people. It is the process of exchanging information and feelings between two people, and it is essential for effective management. Communication is the sum of all things one person does when he wants to create understanding in the mind of another, when he wants to create an understanding. Suppose I am teaching you right now. What is the sole purpose of my teaching? That I can make you understand this unit. Communication is the process by which people attempt to share meaning via transmission of symbolic messages. Correct? Now let's move to the next page. Now this he is the sender who is sending the message. Communication is happening. Receiver is receiving the message and he is providing, the receiver is then providing the feedback to the message. Always remember, feedback to the message is very important, very important for communication to be complete, because without feedback the sender cannot understand that the receiver has received the message the way it is intended to be, right? So feedback is very important in communication. Now also, like if I'm teaching you, you guys are messaging me in chats that understood. So what is this? This is a feedback. I'm able to understand that you guys are able to understand what I'm teaching. Correct? Let's move forward. What are the features of communication? Come, I'll explain you. Features of communication. Number one is communication is continuous. This is a very important point. It always comes in UGC. They will provide you one question. What are the features of communication or some sentence, and they will give you options one, two, three, four, and then they will ask you what are the features of communication. You have to choose between four options, whether communication is continuous or not, it is all pervasive or not. So you have to understand everything very nicely. Communication is continuous, that is, it is not static, but it is dynamic process of actions and interactions towards a desired goal. Sharing or exchanging information is continuous or an ongoing process. This concept highlights that communication is dynamic, never-ending cycle of conveying and receiving information. So, what it says is communication is always continuous. It keeps on going, and it is not a static part. It is always a dynamic process, and it never ends. Next point is communication is all pervasive. That is it is happens at all levels, whether it is lower level, middle level, or high level, right? So communication happens at all level. Lower levels provide information to middle level. It is further processed to the top level in the desired format that happens in all decision. Suppose lower level communicate with middle level in an organization. I'm talking about if there are three superiors, lower, middle, and higher. So lower level will communicate with the middle level superior or the leader, and the middle level leader will communicate with the higher level leader. So communication is all pervasive. It happens at all level. Then the third point is communication is a two-way process, which means the sender and the receiver. Communication is deemed to be effective when there is some kind of feedback. The sender sends the message and the receiver gives the feedback. This aspect has been taken into account in coal and chain model as well as given in other models. Coming to the fourth point, communication is always within a context and the relationship aspects. That is what you say, what you are saying, the context, and how you say it. Suppose if you want to, if you're for informal example, I'm giving you ask your brother to give one glass of water. If you say him, please bring me a glass of water, what he will say? He will go and bring you a glass of water. But what if you ask him rudely, hey, give me a glass of water? Will he? He won't. So communication is within a context, the way you say it and how you say it. Right? What you say and how you say it. So same message can be communicated authoritatively and politely. So this is the four features. Communication is continuous, it is all pervasive, it is two-way process, and it is within a context in the relationship aspects. Coming to the next point, communication exchanges are based on symmetry and complementary. Symmetry refers to similarity, while complementary refers to the difference in characteristics. For example, two students who are very good in mathematics will have a good communication relationship. Okay, suppose if you are interested in cricket, so you will like to discuss about the cricket match with a person who also watch crickets, and you will be happy to talk to him about the cricket match. This is known as symmetry, which is similar. On the other hand, suppose there are two students, one is good in maths, another is in English, they are complementary in each other. Suppose you are good in cricket, but your friend is good in football. So what is this? This is complementary in each other. Will you able to talk about him about the cricket? No. Will he be able to talk to you about the his football match? No. So this is complementary. Coming further, common language. This helps developing better understanding between the sender and the receiver of a message, and thus making communication more effective. Now, suppose you know Hindi, or suppose you know English, and you are communicating with someone who doesn't know English and who knows French. So, will it be an effective communication? No, it won't be. So, communication should happen between people using a common language. Meeting of minds is necessary. So the two people mind should be similar. The message should be delivered and the receiver should receive the message the way it was intended to. So the receiver must comprehend the intended meaning of the message that the sender wants to send him and understand. The message must have substance. The gist of the message holds importance only under the receiver shows interest in the subject matter. If, for example, any discussion about cricket will be received by a cricket fan. Am I correct? The context should be such that the receiver is very willing to understand the message, that he shows interest in that subject, right? Communication can also be conducted through gesture. This is non-verbal, non-verbal communication. It can be done through gestures. Suppose if you are saying, what this signifies? It can be either hi or it can be a bye. So it is happening through gesture, or doing like this. This is a no. This symbolizes no. So it is through gesture. Communication is of different type. So here what it is saying, communication can be formal, informal, verbal, non-verbal. The different types has been discussed later in the unit. Okay. Moving forward, communication always has a context. Without context, words and action do not carry a meaning. It is a very important point. Communication always has a context. There is some context you are talking about, and that context should be meaningful. Okay. Suppose number one, physical context. It refers to the place where communication is taking place, such as in public, conference room, etc. Suppose you are in a conference room. So the context of the communication will be some meeting, some formal discussion, right? So this is a physical communication. Social context. Social context is mainly role and status relationship between the sender and the receiver of the message, norm and culture of the society. Suppose if you are attending a party with your friend, the context will be you have come for a party, right? Informal communication, right? Temporal context. It refers to the time factor in communication, such as at what time of the day communication is taking place. In morning, we usually talk about regional and spiritual aspects of life. Am I correct? In morning, if you open your eyes, what the first thing you do is you talk about religious thing or you pray to the Almighty. Am I correct? In the morning, you will not straight away get up and listen to something rock music. You will obviously not. So this is the time factor. Morning, may what you do? You listen to religious thing. At night, maybe you sleep. You listen to songs. So this is the temporal context. Physical context is something where the communication is happening. Social context is about relationship, and temporal context is about time factor. Moving forward to noise in communication. Should I take this session forward or should I end this session here only? Okay, for now, the first class will stop here only because we have learned a lot. So let me give you a brief introduction, like brief overview of what we have learned. We have learned what do you mean by communication. It is the sharing of ideas between the people. There is a sender who encodes the message. There is a medium through which the communication message is being transferred, and the receiver receives the message. He decodes the message, and therefore he provides the feedback. This is the different types of authors has defined communication in a different way. Coming to the features of communication, communication happens continuously. It is all pervasive, happens at all levels. It is a two-way process. It involves some context and relationship aspects. Communication is both symmetric and complementary. There is a should be a common language and meeting of minds between the people. Communication can also take place non-verbally, and communication is of different types, which we will learn further. Communication should always has a context. There are three types of context: physical context, social context, and temporal context. Temporal context is about time factor. Social context is about the society, the relationship, the culture, and the physical context is about where the communication is happening. So I hope you have understood what I have taught you today. If there is any confusion, you can let me know. I'll clear your doubt definitely. But for today, we are going to stop here only. So thank you. Do give a reading to whatever I have taught you today. And if any problem arises, let you can ask me. I'll solve your issue. In the next class, we'll start with noise, barriers of communication, and everything. Okay. Till then, keep studying, keep smiling. Bye, everyone.